All right, we are on and we are recording. Welcome, welcome, everyone. Welcome to our first gathering in 2024. We're so excited to have you here. And are you excited about what's going to transpire in your life, in your Mary Kay business, in everything in 2024? So let me turn my phone on silent because I just remembered I had turned that on. And
I
so
agree.
if you've just joined us and you want to give us a shout out, tell us who you are. We would love that. So you can type in the comments. So first of all, we're going to start out real quick. Does anyone want to share anything exciting that they did this last week? Rosie, I know you wanted to share something.
Well, I had I don't want to call it even an online order. I have a customer who used to live in Manhattan, who I inherited from one of my consultants who's no longer a consultant. And she's just a really sweet lady. And she ended up moving to Springfield, Missouri, but she's kept in contact. So she orders from me pretty regularly. And almost every time it's close to $300, like it was 280 something. And so that was nice to just, because it was like right after the 1st of January. So she was like my first sale in January. So that was a great way to start off. And, I get the stuff to her right away. Even though she's away, I get it to her right away. I don't charge her shipping because, she could easily purchase from somebody locally and not have to pay it. So,
Right.
but anyway, it's just kind of a good feeling to know that somebody who was your customer has stayed your customer, even though she's moved. So I like that.
That's awesome. And Rosie, that's from serving. And so you serve her well. And so thank you. Thank you for being a great example of that. So I know that you have lots of great clients. So, okay. So Rosie, do you want to tell everybody about the PCP deadline for and what PCP is?
Okay, so if you don't know, PCP is, I always think it sounds druggy. PCP in the Mary Kay world stands for Preferred Customer Program. And when you when you have customers, when you sign up customers to participate in the PCP program, Mary Kay on your behalf will send whatever lookbook, like it would be the spring lookbook. Um, we'll send it to them along with a sample, and it's only 90 cents for us. You guys, you can't mail a lookbook, I don't think, for 90 cents. So it's just a really good way of keeping your customers informed of what's new, what's old, and it's a great reason to have to contact your customers, because when you go ahead and enroll customers in PCP, then you will want to follow up when the mailings start happening. And so the deadline for the spring lookbook is January 17th, and that's coming up. So to do that, you go to the landing page. Now it's different now. Go to the landing page, and I think it's right on the landing page, isn't it, Jana, when you scroll down? I think it is. I'm not
I
sure. I
hold
use I use the email link, so I can't, but I thought I saw preferred customer program on there.
yes.
Okay.
I
So if
believe
you go to
so.
the landing page, you scroll down, there's a bunch of different, I don't know what yours might look different than mine because I'm a director, but there's a bunch of different links to click on. And one of them is preferred customer program. You click on that, and you do have to have people in your My Customer database. So if you have somebody you want to receive a catalog, make sure that you go in and you put in their name and their address, because otherwise Mary Kay doesn't know where to send it. So you have to do that before you can actually check. There's like little boxes next to each name, each customer name. And even if you only have one customer, do it, because not only will she get a catalog with a sample, but you will also get one just because you enrolled in PCP. So to me, it's a no-brainer. It's a great opportunity to keep customers informed. And um, yeah, I've been doing it for a long time.
So yeah, let's just take a look on there. And so it's just going to be underneath the business tools. Yeah, there's a consultant first look.
Okay,
So,
so there isn't a direct link to it.
well, but they can just go under business tools
Right.
and preferred customer program right there. And so when you click on that, you can click enroll now. And then obviously, if you've never, there's the options right here.
You'll want to
Okay.
create a customer list, and it tells you when
Right.
it's going to be mailed, so you'll know when to follow up with your customers. So
Right. And if you haven't created a customer list, honestly, it will prompt you to do that if you haven't done that. It will take you to
nobody will
that.
be there to choose from.
That's right. It won't have any options. So you
Right.
will have to do it. So, all right. That's awesome. Okay. Rosie and I also want to share with you, you guys, you know what? We have got so many things going on that, we're learning to work our own businesses. New consultants are learning how to work their own businesses in person and virtually. So we've had so many different types of parties this last year. We've got skincare parties. We've got just like a Facebook party that's just a posting party. We've got Zoom parties that we can do. And now, and by the way, and sip and shops, we created the sip and shop where we just pass products around and talk about products. But now we're going to be doing something fun called a Hydra experience. And this is a twist on a Hydra facial. Rosie and I are going to be streaming into the Mary Kay Party Zone group. Okay, that's a Facebook group. And so that is in 3 weeks. It's 3 weeks from tomorrow night. It's on the 30th. It's a Tuesday night at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. And guess what? Several of you on our New Year's survey had mentioned that you'd like to be making $100 to $400 per month in your business. Well, that always starts, in my opinion, reorders are fantastic, but it always starts with building new customers and new skincare clients. And so this is an amazing way to do it because guess what? You don't have to do hardly anything. All you're going to have to do is watch the party so you know what we're doing and what products that we're using, and then follow up with your clients. Rosie and I will be in contact with you, and we will let you know who has filled out the link, but you're going to be responsible for sending out the invitations to this gathering, okay? So anyway, what I'd like you to do is check out the link. I wonder if I have one of these right here handy. Hold on just a second. But anyway, it's on the Rise page. So just go ahead and um, look on the Rise Facebook page and you'll be able to pull it off of there. Okay. Plus the link. Okay. Why is there a link? Because we are going to send them the skincare items. Like most of them, 90% of what we are going to be trying on the screen, your people are going to get a try too. And so what is a Hydra session? This is a multi-ingredient, amazing facial. So they're going to have cleansing, exfoliation, detoxification, chemical exfoliation, and extra hydration. It's going to be so good. It's going to be very educational. And Rosie and I are going to be leading it. Okay. So Rosie, did you want to share anything else with them about that?
No, the only thing, and most of you already know this, but if you are going to invite people, please don't do like a mass text to a bunch of people.
Thank
Ask
you.
people individually, you know, hey, I'm so excited. My Mary Kay group is doing, we're going to have this hydrofacial session. And I thought about you and thought it'd be something you'd like to try. And you could tell them that, if they participate and they're on live, we're going to send them samples and they can try it or not. We don't know if they're trying it because we won't be able to see them, but they can see us. But it's really, really important if they say yes, and I know things come up, but it's really important for them to make every effort to be on, or else, it's all for
And I,
naught.
and honestly, we'll be reaching out to them if they're not on, and we want you to be reaching out to them to make sure that they have watched the replay and they've tried the products. And so, this is free to you and it's free to them, but it's not free to Rosie and I. And so we're doing this to support you and your business. And so she's right. Do not just send out mass invitation on Facebook and say, hey, free samples, everybody. You know, this is a party. We want people to participate. We want them to be commenting and participating with us. So anyway, all right. Well, you guys, I think it's time. I think it's time for us to get started. We are going to be doing something fun called the Boss Babes Risk Taker program here for the next 7 Mondays. Okay, so what is this? Well, a boss babe is a confident, ambitious woman who takes charge of her life and her career with a strong sense of empowerment. Is that you? Do you want it to be you? How about that? Okay, and what is a risk taker? A risk taker is someone willing to venture into uncertain situations, embracing challenges and opportunities with courage and potential for significant rewards. Is that you? Do you want it to be you? Just say yes. Okay, so when you put these two titles together, you've got a woman who's going to change some lives, starting with her own and impacting so many others as she steps out in faith. This is a year to be a boss babe risk taker. And so we are going to be showing you a video real quick, and you're going to be learning from some fabulous 7 national sales directors that I absolutely respect and appreciate. And so when you're jumping into this, you want to make you have to make a decision. Will you listen to the stories and be inspired and take a risk in your business? Or are you going to be listened to just have your ears tickled, just to be entertained and nothing changes? Which will it be? The choice is yours. What risk is God asking you to take in your business in 2024? So let's go ahead and watch the video. Then we'll talk about the packet for a little bit afterwards. But I just want to introduce you to a couple of really fantastic national sales directors here. Hold on just one moment. Let me get the video. All right. Let me stop this. Technology is always so fun. So anyway, welcome all of you that are hopping on. I think we have Cheryl Sandy on. I think Annette Klein just hopped on. Okay, here we go, ladies. Rosie, once I start this, give me a thumbs up. Let me know if you hear the audio.
Well, hi, everybody. We are so excited that you're here for Boss Babe 2024. Be a risk taker. We are ready to kick it off in a big way tonight with Chuck and I, and with some of our fabulous friends, National Sales Director Kim McClure and her husband, Bob McClure. Oh, we're going to talk all things about getting out of the safe zone and into the faith zone when you take a risk. Tonight is kicking off our entire season of Boss Babe for this kickoff to the new year. And we just want to talk about what happens when you take a risk. How does it stretch you? How does it grow you? And how does it impact your business? So tonight, I hope as you're listening to Kim's stories, my stories, to Bob and to Chuck, as they're sharing about their response to our taking a risk, I hope that you will find your risk and that you will step out on faith and leave the safe zone and get into the faith zone. Oh, that's where God moves in a big, huge way. And I can't wait to see what happens in your story. So Kim, start us out, my friend. Thanks for being on. What are some of your stories about taking a risk as a consultant?
Oh my gosh. Well, thanks for asking us to talk. I think of 2 stories, and both are related to making Mary Kay our full-time income. And so my first story was when I was quitting my job, and I had put aside like a nest egg of money that I had been building from the profits from my sales and from my team building commissions. So I had a little cushion for me, but I was scared when came time to turn in my resignation, and I'm like, what if, right? And so I said to Bob, I said, I'm so scared. And he said something very profound to me. He said, Kim, if you're not scared, you're not growing. And I was like, oh, I mean, how many times have we heard, when you're talking to people, so what's new? And they go, nothing, same old, same old. You know, that's the safe zone, right? And the safe zone is boring. And so I always remember whenever I'm a little fearful of taking a step forward, that I'm growing. That's what I tell myself. It's not that I'm scared, I'm growing. And so that has a whole positive connotation to that, to me. And it makes me feel like strong and a champion. And so I used that again as I was finishing DIQ. And back in the day when I finished DIQ, it was like the dark ages. Agreements had to be in 48 hours before the month closed online, or they had to be hand delivered to the distribution center. I live in Pittsburgh. The distribution center then was New Jersey. And so with 3 days left in the month, I still needed 9 new agreements. And I tapped what I thought was everything. And so I stepped out on faith. I bought an airplane ticket. I rented a car. Back then we didn't have MapQuest. We had to like print out things from the computer, right? No GPS kind of stuff. And so I had never done any of that by myself at all by myself before, but I'd never like rented a car or driven in a strange place all by myself, especially under a deadline, right? And so I went ahead and did all that. And then I went to work to make it happen because I'd already thrown my heart over the bar. I was going to make this happen no matter what. And I did. And it was such a victory feeling. It felt like Rocky the whole time, you know, like da-da, and crossing over. And it just still such a victorious feeling that when I remember that, it encourages me still to keep on taking those steps to go into that faith zone.
I love that. I love that. Bob, what did you think about all that? I'm so curious.
You know, we had a real trust relationship. So, you know, it wasn't something that just came up. So we're talking about, we're both experiencing the business, both experiencing our own careers, talking about that stuff. So it wasn't as if, you know, you open the door and all of a sudden there's something there you didn't expect. But the possibility of leaving one thing that had some assuredness to it to something that had less assuredness to it, risk, right?
Sure.
Was still a big thing, but it wasn't done blindly, right? And it was done with a lot of background and education, some experience, but there's still risk there. So that's where we were, and that's, you know, so it was a little different situation than falling off a cliff.
Right.
Yeah, for sure. So Karen, how about for you? Tell us your story.
It's funny because our stories are a little similar. I had stepped away from Mary Kay for about 5 years from a bad divorce. And I made the decision to come back to Mary Kay to get me out of corporate America for good. So I knew when Chuck and I had just been married a little under a year when I made this decision. So he was completely behind me and knew that I was excited and committed and was working hard. And I remember that I turned in my notice. Back then, you typically did it within the 4 months. It was a 4-month kind of a schedule for DIQ. And I turned in my notice to be done 2 months early. Like I knew I was going to be finishing on December 31st, and that was it. That was my last day. And at that point, when I turned in my notice, we were not done. And then I remember as we got closer, I got more and more excited. For the risk for me, sure, it was a leap of faith. Sure, it was uncomfortable, but it was energizing to me to think that I was changing my life with this decision. And so we came down to the last week and we crossed the finish line. And one thing that I'm so grateful about now, of course, everyone has to make their own decisions about their own risks and what works for you. But I knew that God had called me to be a sales director in Mary Kay again and to do it full time. And I just wanted to eliminate all other options. And so I remember thinking, wow, I'm making pretty much 6 figures right now. And my husband's a teacher and we're taking a leap of faith here. But I just knew I did not want anything tying me to safety, holding me back from my calling that I knew God had for me. And so I remember finishing it up. Do you remember? It was New Year's Eve night. I came home from work, my last day at work. We were not done yet. I sat down at my desk. Chuck brought a grilled steak and a glass of wine, and we finished up qualification together as we welcomed in the new year. And I started out my life as a full-time Mary Kay sales director. And I always think to myself, I'm so grateful that we took that leap of faith, that risk, that getting into the faith zone, because then I just worked full force to build that unit. And wow, what a journey it's been. I'm so grateful I took that risk. How did you feel about it back then? We were newlyweds.
I was gonna say we were clearly still in the honeymoon.
We
Um,
were too.
yeah,
We
right.
were too.
Full on to this day.
Right.
I think it's a lot along the same lines of what Bob said. You know, we'd had conversations, we talked, but also I had seen what you had done, the efforts that you were putting in the small pockets of time, and we talk about we can work our Mary Kay in pockets of time, and I would see it and how God was rewarding it and the way He was blessing it.
Yeah.
That it really wasn't like a risk. Yes, it was a leap of faith, but faith without action is empty.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
so, I really felt a peace about it all. It
Yeah.
wasn't like there wasn't moments of trepidation, but for the most part, I'd seen what you've done.
Yeah.
I'd seen, and I'm like thinking, well, this is just in like 10 or 15 hours a week. Now she's gonna go 40 hours a week. Of course, my wife has never done anything for 40 hours. It is 60 to 70 hours a week, but she enjoys it. So she feels like she doesn't work at all. And that's what I think brought me the most joy, was just watching her work and knowing that this was going to make her at ease, which was just going to make her do even more and be even better. And it's been an amazing ride ever since. So, yeah.
Yeah, it really has. Well, and there's a lot of risks that every consultant who's watching this has taken risks in their life. They just didn't define it as a risk.
Yeah.
I mean, we were talking about that. You had some different examples. I know that you had jotted down of some different things.
Well, it's no surprise. This is the emotional part of the relationship. I'm more the analytical part of the relationship.
Yeah, I love it.
That being said, so I asked myself, well, what's risk? We're talking about risk. And, if you go to the dictionaries or go on the web, it's simple terms, it's the possibility of something bad that's going to happen, right?
Huh.
It's the effect of uncertainty on an objective. Well, that sounds pretty ominous, right? It's like, oh my. But when you talk about it, let's look at the emotions around risk. And then the thing to ask yourself is, which of these emotions apply to me? Because they can be good and bad. And they'd include things such as fear, anxiety, not necessarily the good ones, excitement. Chuck just mentioned that there. Some confidence or maybe lack of confidence, it's on a scale. Hope, regret,
Mhm.
stress, and maybe pride. And the pride part would be a pride of failure, right? Proud to fail, right? So those things are interesting. So you have to ask yourself, which of these emotions affect you most about risk? And specifically now about an Mary Kay career decision that you might have. And if we avoided all risk, we'd be nowhere. I mean, we'd literally would be paralyzed, unable to do anything. Our parents, when they watched us begin to walk, knew it was a risk for us to walk. I knew for sure when Kim got her driver's license, her parents saw a risk in her trying to drive.
My nickname was Crash, you guys.
Women having a baby, talk about risk.
Right. Yeah.
But what we have is, through all of those types of examples, and certainly the examples the girls have given us here, is that we have people who have taught us. We have our own self-experiences, some good, some bad, right? And in that process, we learn from those things. And in this career, what I've learned from watching Kim and watching Karen and many of the other folks that we have relationships with, is none of us walked into any of these knowing exactly what to do.
True.
We have certain capabilities, and we certainly have desires and needs. But in the end, we learn, and we learn from example, and we want to study. And with that, once we understand things, and this is the key risk, once we understand more about what we're going to look to do that's causing us to look at risk, or the definition of risk, the less risky it will be.
Yeah.
So that's the way to look at it. Look at the emotions that you think are instilled in you in this type of a decision as you go through various decisions in this type of a career or any career. And then go back and say, okay, what have I learned? What do I need to learn, better yet, to deal with those uncertainties that I see?
Well, and there's the risk of not going forward.
Right.
Right.
Of course.
I mean, the risk of staying the same. Ugh.
Oh,
Right.
right?
It
Or-
made me want to throw up
Or
thinking
the
that,
financial risk of not having what you might have.
right, right. Yeah, I didn't want to be on the hamster wheel of life. Like
Yeah.
rinse, repeat, and then wait till you're 65 to try and retire, maybe 60,
Yeah.
now 70, and then maybe live. And no, we want to live and enjoy and give and be able to serve and help other people. And this business gives us that freedom and flexibility too.
Sure.
Yeah, and I think when I look back to the decision I made, and I know you made to leave that full-time job, for me it was I'm ready to create a new life.
Yeah.
And my why is so big. And my why was freedom and flexibility. I wanted to be able to design my own life and to be there for my son and all through growing up. And now it's wonderful at this stage of my life with older parents. I love the freedom and flexibility. So the why was what fueled my desire to step out on faith and to take that risk. And I'm so glad I did.
Yeah.
What a
So-
testimony.
Yep. I wanted to be home when I had a baby. I didn't want to have that child in daycare, or children. And I wanted to give him options in his career,
Right.
because he worked so hard. And so holding on to the desire for the future and living in the vision, of where we wanted to be and playing that mind movie of what life would be like was so key in making those choices, and that pulled you over the finish line too.
Correct.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah, I just go back to what Bob said about when he was talking about the definition, and really the two words that stuck out to me were fear and excitement.
Mm,
And if you allow the fear to take over, it's going to paralyze you.
right.
If you let the excitement take over, it's going to give you activity. It's going to, and of course, the activity is going to breed success, which is going to,
And
and
confidence.
that's going to breed confidence. So it's all a cycle either
Yeah.
way.
Yeah.
It's just how you break. But yeah, I just think of that activity. I just go back to that activity, that action.
Yeah.
When you're taking that leap of faith.
But what do they always say, Kim? Inactivity breeds fear, right?
The dark room of negativity, right?
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
working in those 6 inches up here in our brain,
Embrace that excitement.
Yeah.
Push the fear away.
Right.
Embrace the excitement.
Yeah.
right? And if you don't step out, right, for your future, your life will stay the same, nothing changes, but it's bigger than you.
Right.
Because if you don't step out, if we didn't step out, all the people's lives that have been connected
Yeah.
over the years, and we sit where we are, and consultants and directors are where they are because of the people who went before us.
Right.
Mary Kay Ash taking a risk
Absolutely.
and doing the things that people said couldn't be done. And so we stand on the shoulders of the giants who went before us. And all of our lives are woven together in the design that God has for each and every one of us. And so if you as consultants don't take those steps forward, all the people that God has assigned to you, because he gave you the dream, right? Their lives can't be changed.
Right.
And, Proverbs chapter 13, verse 12, New Living Translation says, hope deferred makes the heart sick, but a dream fulfilled is a tree of life.
I love it.
And how many times have I met people along our journey who say, oh, I wish I had done what you had done.
Yeah.
Right. And that's the hope deferred. It makes their heart sick.
Yeah.
So you don't always weigh that piece of it or realize that. So, go after those dreams
For
because
sure.
we serve a big God and he wants to give them to you.
Follow his prompting.
Absolutely. Oh, I am so excited. And the great thing about once you say yes to stepping out on faith, God opens the door to the next step. And so I hope that as you're listening to us tonight, maybe you're hearing what God is prompting in your heart, stirring you up. And I'm so glad that perhaps your man is here watching with us so that you guys can talk about that, pray about it together, and get excited about this new year and stepping out on faith to change your life and change many other lives.
For sure.
And lives of your families.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Well,
God
what a
bless
great
you all.
conversation. Thanks for being on. Thanks, Bob and
Yes.
Kim. Have a great
Yes. Happy New Year, everybody.
Happy New Year.
All right. Okay. Were you all able to watch that okay? You could see everything? Okay, good. It kept giving me a message at the top of my screen that said that I wasn't sharing anymore. but I didn't see you
No.
like moving around or anything, so I thought, okay, I'm good. Okay, so I have posted in the files on the Rise page. There's actually a booklet that you can print off. It's like 21 pages, and it's called 2024 Boss Babe Be a Risk Taker. You can actually you can print that off, and you can actually take notes each week when you listen to the national sales director and her story and what her why was, and what did she learn from taking a risk, and what changed in her business because she took the risk, and how does her story inspire you, and what was your biggest takeaway. And so I want to talk about takeaways here real quick. But then each week there's going to be like you're going to be able to get points and score yourself, and we are going to be recognizing the top scorer every week. So send a snapshot of this after you fill this out each week. Oh yay, Annette downloaded it. So I want you to score yourself each week. And so take a snapshot of this like on a Sunday night or Monday morning, get it to your sales director by Monday morning. And then we are going to see where this is going to take us. So Rosie, let's go with Rosie first. Rosie, what were your takeaways from listening to Karen and Kim?
Well, I always love to hear, especially the NSD's stories, because most of them I didn't know when they just became directors. You know, I've only seen them as NSDs, except Karen, you know, because she's a newbie NSD. But
Yes.
I always enjoy, like, and I was trying to decide who was who because I don't know their voices. You know what I mean? Who was the one was it Karen that said she was in Pitt? No, that was Kim, because that was a long time ago when she had a drug. Yeah. I mean, can you imagine, right? You know, when I became a director, I did it in 2 months, thanks to Jana's help. And we submitted everything online. Can you imagine like the amount of faith it took and the determination it took to know you still needed 9 agreements on the day that you wanted to finish? I mean, that's pretty powerful, you know, to have that amount of faith. And I love the support of their husbands as well. I think that makes a huge, huge difference. Not that you have to have it, but it's sure easier when you
Right.
do. Or a family member or whoever, a friend, to have some type of a
Right.
support system.
And you know, honestly, you guys, you always have your independent sales director as your #1 cheerleader. We're going to believe in you. We're going to see more in you than you probably even see in yourself, because leaders, just like sales directors, have a tendency to see your great qualities and see you where you could go rather than where you're at. And so I love that. So don't forget about that. And um yeah, we're here to support you. Some of the things that I wrote down is this: if you're not scared, you're not growing. Wow. That was crazy. And so just remember, if you think I'm scared, this scares me, and just say this is going to grow me. And then changing my life, I'm changing my life with this decision. Gonna make a decision today to change my life. And being in the faith zone instead of the fear zone. Loved that. And let excitement not let excitement take over. As you're embarking on doing something new, maybe it's booking appointments, maybe it's calling your clients, maybe it's reaching out to a family or a friend and asking them if they would be willing to get together with you because you need to practice, do a practice facial and share our skincare. So let excitement take over. And if you're feeling the butterflies, that's excitement. Okay. It's not always fear. So, whatever you're speaking into your life, for sure. And I also loved when they said inactivity breeds fear. Yes, it does, in all areas of life, in everything that we do. So I want you to remember that. So, anyway, okay, does anyone else want to share anything that they took away from this or anything that they're excited about? All right. Well, ladies, I just want to encourage you, download the booklet, print it off, and be brave. Go be brave. One of the things that you can get points on is doing a checkup call with your independent sales director, a weekly accountability call. And so that's not, it doesn't say weekly accountability text. It says weekly accountability call. And so that call is about your business and where you're going. Okay. And so are we going to be the like crack the whip and say, you're not working? No, we are here to be alongside you to help you achieve what it is you desire. So I encourage you, pray about it, fill out the paperwork, pray about it, decide where you're going to go, and let's take some risks in the next 7 weeks. And so looking forward to seeing you all next week. Does anybody have any questions or comments before we go? All right, I'm going to stop the recording.